Hey, what's going on, champs? I'm Aaron Deliosa. Welcome to an Immigrant's Life podcast, my podcast about immigrants and immigration and everything in between. Thank you for listening and downloading the show, and thank you for supporting my dad.
Beautiful people, welcome and thank you for joining me for another episode of An Immigrant's Life. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook at An Immigrant's Life. You can listen to the podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your podcast. Just a side note, I've been trying to improve the video content on the YouTube channel of An Immigrant's Life. I've been adding pictures of the guests so you can have a visual idea of what they look like and whatever cool things they do. And I'm pretty proud of that, and I hope you are enjoying it too. On a personal note, summer here in Montreal have kicked off. And with the lockdown easing up, our beautiful city is slowly getting back to its old glory. And I hope that's the same case where you're at. Okay, enough with my blabbering. Let's talk about the episode. This week's guest is a person what they call a man about town. He's a sophisticated individual that loves experiencing different cultures while taking amazing photographs. And if you'd like to see some of his photos, check the links on the description of this episode. Enough said, so without further ado, let's get into the show! Isa, dalawa, tatlo. Today's guest is a photographer, a traveler, and a classy gentleman. He's as smooth as Shah Rukh Khan, and he's the Sri Lankan Ansel Adams. Everyone, please welcome Arun Somasundram.
Hello, everybody. It is me, Arun Somasundram. Thanks for the intro. A very nice intro.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm happy you like it.
That's me. I'm Arun Somasundram. I'm 33 years old, born and raised in Montreal. My parents came from Sri Lanka, so I'm Canadian Sri Lankan.
Before we move on, I want to thank you for coming on the podcast.
No problem. I'm very happy to be here. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So, my first question, I can't believe I'm asking this question again, but Marvel versus DC.
Oh, DC, man. DC, Batman, Superman, you name it.
Yeah, me too, yeah. DC. I mean, obviously, I like some characters in Marvel, but DC, right?
Yeah, I like honestly, that's when I was a kid, it was wow. Actually, I think we're almost the same age, similar age. That was what we grew up with, the comics. But I definitely like Batman. That's why I like DC, man.
Yeah, Batman's the shit, man.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? Marvel did it up too, I gotta say they like the movies, it was nice.
Yeah, man, the movie, they did it well.
Yeah,
you're right.
So, everything is cool, but my preference is, I like DC. I like the dark and gritty,
Yeah, boy, let's go. That's awesome. Yeah, I agree with that. Batman's awesome. And I've talked about this on my other episode. And
right.
I said before that Superman he's too nice.
Yeah, he's too nice. Yeah. But they try to make him dark now, like the last movies, try to make him, I don't know, earthly more. I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. Did you like the last one? The last one?
Oh, not really, man. They really, I don't know. There was a whole they made the Justice League movie, right?
Well, no, the solo Superman.
Oh yeah, I liked it. Man of Steel. Yeah, I liked
that's
that movie.
I like it. There's one thing that they did that kind of killed it for me. That I didn't like it.
That he killed someone. He killed the guy.
Dude.
Yeah.
I see that right there. I know you're a nerd. I know you're real.
Yeah, it's like Batman. Using a gun. To kill. It's like a no-no.
Yeah, that's
Superman. He doesn't kill. That's what makes him special, I guess.
How did you feel when he killed the guy?
I was like, oh, okay. It's I think the director had his reason why. I think maybe that was his reason why not to kill ever again. Maybe he who knows what path he was going to take. But for me, it was like, the Superman I grew up with, he never killed anybody. He was,
Exactly. I don't mind changes. I don't mind,
Yeah.
but you don't change the core of the character. That's his thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you said, going back to your point about Batman, he doesn't use the gun. Period.
He doesn't use the gun. That's it, because after what he lived, what he saw, when his parents get died by the gun, he's like, okay, I'm not going to use the gun.
Even though there were the first few Batman comics, there was actually parts that he was holding a gun. It's an actual gun, but he never used it.
He never used it. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I agree with you. But let's move on from being nerds.
No problem.
So you mentioned that you were born in Montreal and your parents were from Sri Lanka.
Exactly. Yeah. So my dad, he came. Well, the reason they left Sri Lanka is at that time there was a war. I don't know if you're familiar. There was a civil war between the minority and the majority. So my parents come from the minority area, Sri Lankan Tamils.
Okay, the Tamil Tigers, those are the guys?
Yeah, so the minority in the country is Tamil-speaking people. It's a minority. They live up in the northern part of Sri Lanka, northern east. And the majority is Sinhalese-spoken citizens. So the government was mostly, it was all Sinhalese government. And before it was the British was there. So when they left, they gave the power to the Sinhalese government.
Why Sinhalese?
I don't know the full details, but I guess maybe they were the majority, was the deal. So unfortunately, the Tamils felt like they didn't get the same amount of rights, benefits. So it ended up turning into a civil war, and that's how the Tamil Tigers came out. Before it was mostly protests and all that stuff, but then eventually it just got escalated, and that's how the Tigers came about. So that was around 82. So that's when it all started. My dad left. My dad left to Sri Lanka.
How old was he?
He was in his 20s. He was in his, I would say late 20s. Yeah, late 20s. And he left. The plan was to go to Canada, but he stopped. He had a few pit stops. He stopped in Germany for a bit.
Why?
He was living there. I think my uncle was there. My mother, so he stayed there. He worked for a bit. Then he traveled to Canada. So
why didn't he stay in Germany?
I'm not sure, to be honest. He never told us why. He just said he worked there. But I think Canada had a more of a welcoming, I guess. I think at that time the immigration was easier too, I believe. There was a bit more open. So he went over there. My mother was still in Sri Lanka at that time.
Were they married?
No, they weren't married.
Okay,
but where my parents were born, it was all like a family neighborhood. Everybody knew each other. It was like my mother's side was 10 siblings.
God.
So she was like the youngest. So all of her siblings, some of them were married. They had kids. They married, the neighbor's daughter or the neighbor's son. So my grandfather was well off. He was a businessman.
Okay.
So he bought houses for the family. So like the whole block was like,
just your people.
Yeah,
right
exactly.
There.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
But unfortunately, everybody had to leave because of the war, and there was just no future. There was bombs, there was shelling. It was hard. My lost one of my aunts because of that too.
Wow.
So that's how my dad traveled. He came as a refugee to Montreal. He came as a refugee, and he came in Montreal at 84, and my mother joined in 86.
Okay.
Yeah, and they got married here in Montreal.
Oh, they got
But
married here. If you
yeah,
don't mind me asking, were they arranged?
they were so they knew each other from
Mhm.
back home. Uh, they were arranged, but they liked each other too, you know.
So it
So
works both ways.
it worked both ways exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's how they met, and they came here. They got married here in '86.
Mm-hmm.
They got married in '86.
You showed up.
'88. Yeah, I showed up 2 years later. Yeah,
Do you have siblings?
yeah. We're three. Where I am the oldest.
Mm-hmm.
I have a sister who's 2 years younger than me, and I have a younger brother who's 10 years apart.
Whoa!
Yeah,
My
yeah,
God. Buzzer beater, clutch.
exactly. Yeah. so we're three in total.
Have you visited Sri Lanka?
Yes, I have. I have visited when I was 4 years old. So in 1992,
Mm-hmm.
I visited Sri Lanka, and I visited again in 2016.
Okay, as you
Yeah.
alone or with your
No,
parents?
me, my family.
Oh.
We actually went as a big group of family because I have a lot of family in Europe,
Mm.
a lot. So we met up in Sri Lanka and we visited the country, visited all the family,
Wow.
explored. But in 92 was a different story because my grandfather passed away, my mother's dad. So for me, it was like quite the experience because, one moment I'm home, next moment I'm in a plane. Next thing you know, you see palm trees and rickshaws, and it was a strange experience.
Yeah. So when you went back 2016, you said, how old
Yeah,
were you then?
I was 2016. I was 27. Sorry,
27,
no, sorry. I was 29.
29. So you're a man.
Yeah,
Did
exactly.
you roam around by yourself? I mean, with your cousin, obviously,
Yeah,
but
well, some of my cousins, we roamed around. Very different, I'm exploring this culture, right?
mhm.
Uh,
Tell us what the difference were, like something that like were glaring at you.
so when I landed there, landed in the capital, Colombo, it was like a city, right? People busy, going to work. But it was a more simpler life. People had what they need, you know. It's slowly getting a bit Western, in Colombo, the city. Uh, you know, people with the phones and everything. And
Mhm.
but when I went to Jaffna, which is the northern part of Sri Lanka, things are a little bit different. It's still like a little bit older, a lot of broken down homes. There's a lot of poor. Definitely, you could see the poor people, but I didn't see the stress in people. You know what I mean? Like people who were living, they had little, but they had time. They had life. They had, they didn't have everything like what we have here.
Mhm.
They had maybe a table with a few chairs, a sofa, necessities.
Yeah.
But uh, people felt less busy. People felt less stress. There was more communication.
Mhm.
Uh,
There's less want.
yeah, there was less want.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
I love that. Also, they could have nothing in their house, and you showed up, and like they will give you the best thing they could give you.
exactly, yeah, exactly. They get the. Well, for me, when I went to Sri Lanka, it was important for me to see as much as I can.
Mm.
I wanted to see, travel, and my parents, they wanted to go and visit people. I'm like, look, you can go visit the 80-year-old neighbor or whatever.
Yeah.
Me, I wanted to see. I wanted to see the landscape, different towns.
Mhm. Why was it important to you?
It's just to see just to have a different perspective. What was different. I like to see that different, to get a different perspective. The
Mhm.
history is important.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
you're right.
so that was my main reason, and it was
Hmm.
very fun. I
Was
also
it?
was actually, for me, it was like I was a bit scared going because before I went to Europe and stuff. So it's like, but when you go to Sri Lanka, it's like, okay, I had these perspectives. Oh, am I gonna get robbed? Am I gonna get, because my parents were like, oh, be careful. People might come, they might take your money, blah, there's bugs, there's snakes, poisonous stuff,
You soft Canadian kid.
Exactly, yeah, when I went to Jaffna, the houses there, the doors, they don't lock the doors, windows are open.
There's nothing to steal.
Nothing, yeah, you can, people can come in, there could be snakes, who knows? I was just freaking out, but honestly, after a week, I felt like I was comfortable,
Mm-hmm.
It was very interesting, yeah.
That's awesome. I like that you said you were comfortable. You felt like that DNA inside you kicking in.
Man. At one moment, because it's a town at night, it's like pitch black. You don't see much. I was outside. Over there, they have wells. I don't know back in Philippines if you guys had wells in your houses or.
Well, my town has become industrialized, so we don't. But yeah, when I was younger, yeah, we used to have wells.
Yeah,
the
so
pump.
Exactly. So there was a well and there was a bucket, but so you take the water. That's the water you use to shower.
Yeah.
But the water it felt different. It was fresh. It was cold. It was clean. And I took a shower maybe 3 times a day because it's super hot over there.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm out in the middle of the night taking a shower. I wasn't worried about anything.
No one's gonna touch you anyway.
Yeah,
because everybody know. First, like you said, it's all your family.
Exactly.
And then friends of family.
Exactly. It was all. So I felt good. It felt good.
That's awesome. Are you planning to go back again or?
I would like to definitely but right now it's difficult.
Of course, yeah.
What's happening, but I definitely want to go back in the next 2-3 years for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When I know in Sri Lanka there's a caste system. Do they still follow that stupid thing?
Probably over there, yes.
They still do?
It still do, but it's funny enough, people here that settle down here still look at caste, unfortunately.
So stupid.
It's not, it's very stupid, and it's not as like before, but it's still there.
Yeah.
It's still there. Luckily my parents, they never looked at that,
That's good. That's very good.
But it exists,
Yeah.
I didn't really look at it when I went to Sri Lanka. I didn't see it. I didn't talk about it, so I don't know if it exists, but it's less than before for sure.
That's good.
But it's there. It's there.
Yeah, and it's important that your parents are so liberal about it that that's stupid. Don't listen to that stupid thing.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, because I remember I have a friend here. He's Sri Lankan, right?
Okay.
I don't know but he believes in it. He's such a nice guy, but he doesn't. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, why do you, why? You're a smart guy. Why, So he told me that, let's say, I don't know what caste he is. If he will still make friends with other caste. However, if they come to his house, he won't allow them to drink from the cup that they drink from.
Oh, yeah. That's just, yeah. That's another extreme level of it. It's true. There is people like that. They don't. It's just it's all psychological,
That's nuts.
Yeah. It's unfortunate, but
where did that come from?
That's a good question. It's something I never really researched, but it comes from the towns. When there's a lot of towns in Jaffna, right? So there's a certain group of people, and certain group of people do a certain type of job.
Mm-hmm.
Like in India and Sri Lanka, the most important caste is the families that grew up in the religious
the Brahmins
temples. Yeah, the Brahmins, exactly. The family of priests or.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Are you a good person? That's the question.
That's it. Yeah.
But because I asked you because I heard it somewhere, which I'd never followed up, that it was the British that like started it.
It's possible too, you know. They before I think before the British, I think there was more. Everybody was closer, and I think after, because once the British comes, you know, there were certain jobs, certain trades, you know, so that for sure separated people, right? So
Yeah, you're right. You're right. So you grew up as a
yeah,
Canadian with immigrant parents that you mentioned they're very liberal people, but I'm sure there were still challenges that comes with that.
oh.
So,
Me growing up here with my parents was uh not I wouldn't it was hard. It was hard because they were very strict.
okay.
Me being the oldest too, they didn't know what's the Canadian culture, you know. They didn't, you know. And my parents we only had a few family friends, my uncle and aunt who lived here, and very few friends, so they didn't associate with a big community. My
Why?
parents they were more reserved. My parents are very quiet. They like reserved parents. But when it comes to family, they're open. You know,
They're
they
just not
didn't
trusting.
yeah, they're not very trusting. Probably from past experiences.
Of course, yeah.
You know, so me growing up, I couldn't go out as often. I couldn't have friends come over. I couldn't go to friends' houses because my parents are afraid, you know, they might kill me, or they might, you know, they might give me the wrong food, or you know, stuff like that, you know. And so my whole, I would say, until mid high school, it was like that, you know, very strict education, study.
Yeah.
I still had a Nintendo. Don't worry, I wasn't.
Yeah,
I'm
they're
still
not animals. They're not
yeah.
Nazis.
You
They're
know,
nice people.
yeah.
They're just
But
strict.
yeah, I mean, you know, I had like honestly, I had a good childhood. I played with friends. I had a bike. You know, like any normal Canadian kid. But I just wanted to go a little bit further. You know, I wanted to go to a friend's house. I wanted to go to the birthday parties. I wanted to have a birthday party. You
No,
know, I
no
wanted,
birthday parties?
like, I never had my own birthday party where my friends would come. You know,
Why?
it would only be family birthday parties.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know,
That's
my parents.
immigrant.
Yeah, exactly. My parents didn't want to invite for another group, or white kids, or you know, my good friends from school. You know,
Why not
because
though?
I think they were just afraid. I don't know. It was some. They were afraid maybe I was gonna get brainwashed. I don't know. It was just fear.
Also, they
Yeah,
don't know what to do and feed them.
exactly. That too. That too. Yeah, I
Feed
think that's
them
what.
curry. They love curry.
Yeah.
They love spice.
Yeah, I remember one time we used to live in an apartment, and my parents weren't home, so it was after school. My parents weren't home, and so my friend, he invited me over to his house, who would live right in front. So I went there and I was waiting. I was like, my parents. I'm not with my parents. I'm with my friend's house. You know, I was having a blast. His mom made me food. You know, and then I see my parents coming. You know. And I'm like, oh, I'm here, you know. She's like, no, okay, get your ass home now, you know. But I'm eating. They're like, no, come home now. They like, yeah, like I left the plate of food and I went home.
Wow.
Yeah, my parents were very close-minded in terms of this subject, you know.
Did they
And
try to talk to the parents of the other kids?
oh, yeah, my friend's mom was like, oh no, it's okay. He's eating. But my mom didn't find it appropriate for me to be eating at their house.
Why?
I think she thought it was a bad habit, or it's not um, decent or something for some reason, you know?
Yeah, you're right. Because I remember growing up, I was like that too. I grew up with my grandma, and she doesn't like that.
Okay.
She
Yeah.
does. Well, this is my grandma's idea. This is what she
Okay.
told us, was that they don't have much already.
Exactly.
Why are you taking their food for? But
Ex-
you're in Canada.
exactly. So that mindset from home, they brought it here too.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
that's what happened.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But other than that, so I guess no sleepovers, eh?
No sleep. But that was oh, even for school trips, that was difficult too. The school trip was not bad. Those day trips were okay, but there was two trips where it involved going far, like going to Quebec City,
Mm-hmm.
and my parents didn't want to let me go.
Ooh.
They were scared, and then the teacher called my parents. They're like, "Oh, how come you're not letting his son? Is it because of money? Is it because of this?" The moment they heard the teacher say because of money, they're like, "No, no, no." They signed me up, man.
No way.
Yeah, they got embarrassed because they thought it was about a, because my parents they had a lot of honor, my parents, so
Mhm.
so they let me go.
Just because of the teacher say, oh, because of the money.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it wasn't about the money. It was just they were just afraid of me
Yeah.
getting lost or in a different city.
Yeah. Yeah,
And then
they're trying to protect you.
yeah, exactly.
But I
Overprotective.
mean, yeah, that's the problem. It's
Yeah,
overprotective.
you know
But like you said, it's from where they, how they grew
exactly,
up.
exactly.
Bombs are
Yeah,
dropping. They always have that fear, like, oh, something bad will happen.
yeah.
You know,
I was never put in sports. I wanted to play sports. I wanted to
no sports.
no sports team, nothing.
Why?
Afraid I was gonna hurt myself.
Oh wow.
Yeah, a lot of I wanted to play hockey. I wanted to ice skate. That was my dream when I was a kid. I wanted to play because I liked hockey. I was on the streets with my friends,
Mhm.
but I wanted to go into ice hockey, but they didn't let me.
God, then we would
Yeah,
have had a Sri Lankan Wayne Gretzky over here.
maybe, man. I was very motivated to be a hockey player at that moment
Yeah,
when I was a
because
kid.
they're denying you.
Yeah, you
That's why
know
you want more. That's
exactly. So as time goes on, as I went into high school, uh, high school's a different environment. Now people are more kids are teenagers. They want to rebellious.
mm,
I started to become very rebellious
mm.
because now like you're limiting me. I want to go out. I want to do this. I want to be with my friends. For because I used to live close to my high school,
Mm-hmm.
so I used to walk back 15-minute walk back home and school. So
Okay.
my mom would be like, "Oh, where are you? It's 20 minutes." You
Oh
know,
shit.
I couldn't hang around, walk around with my friends. It was like it's always a big deal for them.
When you're late, you got beat up.
Yeah, a few screens, a few slaps here and there. Yeah,
You have to.
yeah,
You have to take that immigrant
yeah.
hit, man.
Oh man, yeah. I got a lot of beatings.
Oh man, that sucks. But what are you gonna do?
Exactly. You know what? That was my path. I guess that was the path that was destined for me. I took it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you know, uh, it made me more open-minded.
Hmm.
Strangely enough, it because they were closed-minded. I became very open-minded.
Mm.
Out of all my siblings, I'm the most open-minded.
Hmm.
I'm the one who likes to travel. I'm the one who likes to uh, try different things. I'm the one who likes to go on road trips. Uh, whereas my sister, my brother, they're a bit more uh, settled down, more quiet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
because I was
wow.
the loud one. I was the rebellious one. So I think they're like, oh, we don't want to be like the big brother.
So your friends, are they?
Yeah. So in elementary school, my friends were mostly white.
Mm.
There was no Sri Lankan. There was very because I lived in the West Island. So that time, the West Island was very very few Sri Lankans.
Oh wow.
So in school, there was very few dark skin or Indian, Sri Lankan, very few,
So in your class, how many?
I There was like two. It was just me. Yeah. 2, 3, man, max. That was it, And throughout the whole school, maybe 15.
Ooh, man.
Yeah. So
But
it was
but were there times that you felt unwelcome?
yeah, there was some times when I was in grade 2, 3, riding the bus, there was a lot of, you know, comments, or
Name calling.
jokes. Yeah, name calling, jokes, So part of me was like angry, like I would get into fights in the bus, stuff like that, throw a school bag at someone,
Yeah.
I grew up. I experienced. It wasn't crazy, but I experienced that for sure. Hey, Packy, or those kind of words.
That's the worst one. I think.
Yeah.
Why? They're not even.
I'm not even from Pakistan.
They're not even close. Like.
Yeah. But back then people weren't aware. They didn't know about the culture. They just brown skin. Okay, it's from Pakistan.
They're all the
That's it,
same.
All the same. So, but I had some really good friends. Like. Until right up until grade 8, 9, high school, my close friends were all like white guys. They were good friends of mine. But then in grade 9, like in the 2000s, there was a lot more Sri Lankan people moving into West Island. There was a lot more people moving in, buying houses, from the Montreal area. So I started meeting a lot of Sri Lankan people now, Sri Lankan in my school. So I was, and the Sri Lankan kids, when they all came, they're all together. But me, I'm the only one with my white friends, So now I'm like, so they look at me weird.
Yeah. Traitor.
Like, oh, yeah, I felt something. I'm like, okay, this guy's always with the white guys. What's going on, So eventually I started to know them. Some of them were in my class. I started to talk to them. They look, it started to become like, okay, it's cool, when you got your own clique, of your same, they understand me in same language and everything. So that's when I started to know more about my culture a little bit,
Oh, nice.
I started to practice a bit my language, I used to talk at home with my parents. My cousins all spoke English, But
and do you speak it?
I speak it, yeah. I speak it pretty good.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Because of those friends or your parents?
Yeah,
too?
because of my parents and also with my friends, I started learning all the bad words from my friends, because I didn't know the bad words growing up. I didn't know all the slang.
Yeah, you're right. Because your parents won't teach you that.
No, they won't. Maybe the small little words, but not the really bad ones. So in high school, I started to learn more about my background, the Tamil words, culture. That's how I learned about the caste, was through my friends. I didn't know about the caste. My parents, they didn't really teach me much about this. They just told, yeah, you're from Sri Lanka, you're Tamil, few things, there's a war there, that's it, my religion, I was born as a Hindu.
Oh, okay.
So I knew a little bit of that, but that was it.
Do you practice it now?
Me, no. My parents, they used to practice it. Now they before I used to be every Friday was going to the temple, sitting there bored. The only good part was the food. That's it,
Yes, a friend told me about that you guys eat after the mass or the service.
After the mass, yeah, they serve food. Yeah, it's a free food. They make a lot of food, rice and vegetables. There's no meat. It's vegetables. That was the only bad down part, but that's how it was, man. And then now my parents are slowly, as we got older, they got more busier, working, paying the bills.
Yeah.
So they didn't go to temples as often as before. Yeah.
God understands.
Yeah, God understands. Yeah.
That's funny. All right. I just want to ask you one question. I would just want to go back.
Yeah, sure.
Because you said that your parents were arranged marriage, but not really, because they actually like each other, right?
They liked each other. My dad liked my mom, and it was
Yeah.
so that's
So it worked out for them. So now my question is, what's your opinion on arranged marriage?
um I mean, I personally don't I wouldn't do it,
Mhm.
but it depends, right? Like if you look, if it's like sometimes we make a big deal. It's like a blind date. We think arranged marriage is a blind date. For some people, it's a forced thing. Like this is who you're marrying. That's it,
Yeah,
right?
that sucks.
That there's people like that. Both parents come. Okay, you're marrying this person, and that's it. That's. But me, I don't believe in that. I don't like. I don't. If it's an arranged where you get to know the person and you get to know a person and you realize, oh, you know what, I think it's gonna work out, then I believe in it. But me personally, be born here, you know, we're raised with the whole what we see in TV and all that, right? you
Mm-hmm.
know the you gotta meet your girlfriend and build
Yeah.
the when things get serious, you propose, right? But
Mm-hmm. The typical Western way.
yeah, typical Western way, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Because I ask you that because I remember like a few years ago, I was like, man, that's stupid. They still doing arranged marriage. And then one time I watched a documentary about arranged marriage, right?
Okay.
And there's this gentleman who is, I think he was from India, and he was arranged to a woman. And he said something, and the woman too said something like that changed my view about it. That he says, it's like your family is helping you find a suitable partner for the rest of your life. They
Right.
kind of help you out, which is it does make sense. You don't have to
Yeah,
go on a date or whatever.
exactly.
They find a nice woman for you or a nice dude for you or whatever. Like you don't have to do anything. Again, like you said, if they force you, that kind of sucks.
That sucks. Yeah.
Other than that, hey, it would have been nice if, obviously I'm married and everything, but if somebody like my family, like, oh, we found this nice girl for you and I like her, I'm like, hell yeah, that's easy
Yeah.
job.
Why not? Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Yeah, exactly. I guess before when I thought of arranged marriage, like it's forced.
Mm.
Even I thought my parents were forced marriage when I was
Mm.
growing up. Then later on, I found out that my dad liked my mom.
Well,
You
did your
know?
mom like your dad?
Yeah, she liked him, but she was like, it was all him.
Yeah, he made all the moves.
He made all the moves.
That's
So
awesome.
how about you? Your parents?
No, we don't have that.
Okay.
We don't in the maybe like I don't know. I'm thousand and not thousand. Yeah, maybe thousands of years
Okay.
ago. Yeah, we had that because this is a lot of people doesn't know. Filipino culture is very based on Indian culture too.
Okay.
We have this writing we called Alibata
Okay.
that came from India.
Okay. Like that. Yeah, there's a lot of things that came in that central India. It just people were traveling, right? People were moving. So
Hmm.
like even if like that's an interesting point because you go into like Thailand and all those Asia Pacific countries, you see like that culture. There's like a similarity in
Yeah.
certain things.
Yeah, exactly. Because religion traveled, right?
Yeah.
And they trade and like, oh, I like that. That's cool. I want to do that too.
Okay.
So you said you travel a lot. Where have you traveled?
So I've traveled, but I haven't traveled like I've traveled to so far. I've been to India. I've been to Sri Lanka. I went to India. That was like last year.
Hmm.
I've been to Sri Lanka. I've been to England, France, Germany,
Mm-hmm.
Switzerland. I've been to the States, few cities.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've been to I've been to Eastern Canada. All the provinces.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that. I enjoy definitely traveling in within Canada.
Yeah, why?
Honestly, I like the landscape. I like nature. I like the tranquility of nature. So, when you go eastern Canada, I don't know if you've been like east of Quebec, like Gaspésie, Prince Edward Island, Nova Scotia. It's less populated. Beautiful scenery, man. I'm telling you, it's it's something to see when you're always used to the city. All you see is buildings and noise. Instead of paying a $2,000 ticket to fly across the other side of the world, it's you just pack up your car, pump some gas, and you drive off.
Yeah, I mean, Canada is such a big country.
Exactly, man. It's huge.
Yeah, so many things to see.
Like this summer, I went to a small little island. It's called Ile de Madeleine.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, very interesting. You go there. It's like a little island. It reminded me of Sri Lanka. All beaches and a little bit of blue water here and there. It's interesting.
Well, where do you stay?
I go in a little chalets, stuff like that.
Oh, like Airbnbs?
Yeah, Airbnbs, chalets. That's what I do.
Do you go by yourself?
No, I go with my friends.
Okay.
I go with my friends. Yeah.
Have you ever gone somewhere that you were alone?
Yeah. Well, I went to India last year, which I traveled alone because my friend was getting married there. So I went there alone, but I wasn't alone over there.
Yeah.
But I never did traveled backpacking by myself. I never did that. It's something I want to do one day, actually.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask you. Are you the hotel person traveler, or are you the backpacker?
I'm a little bit half-half. I still want a working toilet. You know what I mean? I still, like I don't know if I will go and sleep in a hostel. I never. Yeah, I think I would, because in Sri Lanka we did a little bit of that. We went all around and then we stayed at little dingy hotels or motels or whatever.
If you want to call it motel.
Yeah, but no, I never did the actual backpacking. I never did it. I know a lot of friends of mine. They went to Thailand. They went to those countries. They did backpacking. But I never did it yet.
Yeah, that's one thing I don't regret it, because I could probably do it someday. Okay. But that's one thing I should have done when I was younger.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. I'm not gonna go by myself.
Because for me, like when I see backpackers, it's like, I think when you backpack, you're just going by the moment. You have to be a very open person to go talk to people. Sometimes you end up in someone's house.
Yeah.
It's not for everybody.
Of course. Just like the only thing that bothers me a little bit is some backpackers look at you like, if you haven't done it, they look at you like, what's wrong with you?
You haven't lived, or exactly.
Yeah, you haven't lived. Oh, I'm sorry. Lions are lions for a reason. Elephants are elephants for a reason. Exactly. Not everyone will do the same thing that you're doing.
Exactly.
You mentioned you like nature.
Yes.
And I know you're a photographer.
I'm like an amateur photographer. I go around, like when I see something, I guess my eye catches it, and it's more of a hobby. I don't have like crazy cameras or anything, most of the pictures I take with my phone, to be honest with you.
It's the best.
Yeah, I just go, but it's something that, I don't know, I connect to it. Capturing that moment, and I like it when some people message me, "Oh, that photo, it's amazing," and inspires them, I guess.
Yeah, man, all your photographs are like, whoa, man. I'm not gonna lie, it's so good. I'm like, he probably got this from a wallpaper website.
No, man. I do a little bit of editing, for sure. There's a little bit of editing, but the most important is the way you capture, right? Some people, they take a photo, they take it crooked, and then they put it on Instagram, like, oh man, that's not how it's like, your background, you see the horizon, it has to be straight.
That's your picture, by the way.
Oh, it is, huh? Oh man, you took you know where I took that?
Where?
Over here, man, in Montreal.
Yeah, see, you would
Caps-
think it's somewhere else. Like
I
I
take
said, like your photographs are well done. Do you use Adobe?
I do. I use Adobe. Yeah, I have a Lightroom, Photoshop. I don't use Photoshop. I use mostly Lightroom. Just edit a bit the textures. The color, little details.
Mhm.
But that's about it, man. To be honest, I just enhance the colors just a bit.
Yeah. How did you learn that?
Honestly, trial and error, man. On my phone, seeing what apps they had, testing it out. I did look at a few videos, but honestly, trial and error. You just gotta do it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't know if you know, but I'm a amateur photographer too. Not as good as you, but I do it too.
Okay.
I don't
Okay.
post it as much on Facebook. It's more on Instagram.
Okay. Okay. I see.
Yeah. So honestly, I have a DLSR. I have two.
Okay.
I use my phone.
It's so much easier, man. You don't
It's
have
so
to.
heavy.
It's so heavy. Yeah, I know. I mean, look, some people, the real photographers, I see why they use it. I mean, the images are amazing, but when I go on trips now, like I leave my DSLR at home. I'm like, you know what?
Yeah.
I got a new iPhone. It's just as good,
Yeah.
and I prefer it like that, man.
Yeah, it's more portable,
Yeah.
But for editing, I only use Snapseed.
I have Snapseed also.
That's all I use, bro.
Yeah.
I'm not sophisticated. I'm not smart like you.
You know what I actually use, to be honest with you, most of the pics, I use the iPhone photos. Like I go in photos, and it says edit. I use that.
That's all you use.
Most of the time I just use that, just that to edit the pictures. It's honestly just a few little touches. That's all a picture needs,
Yeah, you're right. I remember I have a picture that I took. These two spires of electricity, like the hydroelectricity.
Yeah.
And like, oh, it's leveled, it's balanced and everything. So I took a picture and it was super dark. It like really, I just like the look, but the picture doesn't have anything. And I start fixing it a little bit. It's probably one of my favorite pictures.
Oh, now you're talking about that picture. It reminds me of this one picture I took when I went to India. I don't know if you saw it. If you go maybe on my Facebook, you'll see it. It was in India. I went to see a town with my friend because he brought me to the town where his dad was born.
Oh, nice.
This is up north India. So this is a Punjab, India. Completely different from my culture, And it was like a little narrow street path, like a brick road. And like only a car can pass through it, one car. and within that street, there's a few little houses, And it was around evening, 7 p.m. The sun was just like the background of what you have, It's like pinkish, a sky. And I just see a bunch of little kids, they're in a group. It reminded me of me when I was a kid, but they were looking at me, they're just curious because, they see someone from outside, dark skin,
Yeah, they know you're not from there.
Yeah, I know. And then I'm looking at the electricity on the top because they're all like wires going everywhere. So I just took a picture. I was like, this picture is something about this picture.
Yeah.
And people saw it. They're like, oh my God, it's a nice picture. It's just, it just showed the simplicity of life.
I'll check it out.
Especially as a kid, you just have your friends. That's all there was.
That's what matters. Just your friends running around doing stupid shit, getting in trouble.
Yeah.
But yeah, like there's another one that I like that you took it. There's like a shipwreck of a boat.
Oh, yeah, that was here in Quebec. Yeah, it's a shipwreck on Ile de Madeleine. It's the one with the sun setting, right?
Yeah, that's beautiful, man.
Yeah, that was a ship that crashed into the island, and it's been sitting there ever since in the 1960s.
What made you decide to go to Ile Madeleine?
One, because it was COVID-19, so I couldn't leave, right? We couldn't travel out. So I'm like, you know what? Now's the perfect chance to go to Ile de Madeleine. You know, I had 2 weeks off. It was me and another friend, and we decided, you know what? Let's just go and just me. I wanted to go take pictures of the place. I wanted to also show my friends, look, there's a place like this that exists here. You know, in your backyard. You know, it's a few hours, a couple of hours away, but. So I went there, you know, it's a small town, but, you know, it's all French Canadians. The landscape was beautiful, man. Honestly, you know, it's like 3 islands connected together by this sandy, thin strip of sand that's a road.
Wow.
You know, so you're driving, you just see the ocean on one side and a water, like a bay on the other side, you know? And for me, it was just beautiful. It was perfect for taking pictures, you know, be in your space, you know.
Yeah. Is that your favorite place to ever been?
Definitely, yeah. It's definitely one of my favorite. I think my second best place I've been.
What's number one?
Number one is Sri Lanka, man. To be honest, Sri Lanka.
Homeland.
And one of the reasons why is I didn't explore enough of Sri Lanka, to be honest with you. And the landscape was beautiful, but there was still so much more to see. I think I saw maybe 30% of the country. So Sri Lanka was definitely my first, and then Ile de Madeleine is my second.
Yeah. That's awesome. And
I got to go to Philippines, though. That's it's on my list.
Let me know. We'll hook you up.
Yeah.
But so I think we're getting there. Is there anything would you like to add that has not been asked, or topics that you want to talk about?
I'm trying to see what else is now. Now growing up. Now, anyways, I'm in my 30s there. I'm trying to see how to keep that. I'm thinking a lot these days, especially, when you asked me about the podcast, about the, life, immigrants, son or parent or whatever, is how I'm going to teach what I know in the future, right? Right now I don't have kids or anything, but if I have kids one day, it's like, there's something you want to show them, right? It's like you got some kids.
Yeah.
Have they ever seen Philippines? Have they ever gone?
Yeah. 2 years ago we went back.
Okay.
They loved it.
Okay. See, so me, like, if I have kids, I have to bring them to Sri Lanka. This is something I never thought about. But after going there, I'm like, okay, if I have kids, I have to bring them here. I have to show them, this side of the world.
Yeah.
It's important, Before, for me, it was, I'm a Canadian, and this is my culture. That's it, it's the French Canadian culture, or, whatever it is. It is. Now it's important for me to bring my parents' culture. Because my parents were always they're like, yeah, you have to keep this culture going, right? Whatever the culture they came from and what I've grown up, but I know eventually, I can't control it, right? Your kid's gonna have kids, and it's gonna. So for me, it's important that you gotta teach them, where the history.
Yep,
history is important.
It's very because they understand you more.
Exactly.
Where you come from. Why does Daddy act like that? Why does Daddy yells all the time?
Yeah.
When he speaks, he sounds like he's yelling. So I tell my kids, that's how we speak. It's like we're yelling, Oh, also, do you have anything to add for that topic?
No,
you're good. I just want to ask you quickly.
Yeah.
What do you do for a living now?
So, me, I work in an aerospace company. I'm a supervisor, so I manage people. I've been there 7 years now. I was always fascinated, like, as growing up, I was very good with my hands. I like to build stuff. That was one of my things I enjoyed. So at school, when I was at school, I didn't have the best grades. Yeah. Why? Actually, in high school, I didn't have the best grades. In elementary school, I did, but in high school, I didn't have the best grades. So, I didn't really go to I went to college, university, but I never finished it. So I was like, but I always remembered I always liked to build stuff and work with my hands. So I went into the aerospace. I went to a little trade school. I learned how the aerospace industry works. So I got a job, and so I worked. I started off on the floor, but 2 years later I started moving up. I became a lead. I had my own team. I started to become more open, dealing with people, how to lead people, I guess, how to get people to do what you need to do, right? So for me in the beginning it was a challenge because I'm a younger guy, and the team that they gave me was all older guys, or some of them were disgruntled 60-year-old men, or who screwed the system, or so I'm like, okay, how do I get them to be productive, and easily enough, what I learned is sometimes you have to let the guys do what they got to do. You tell them, look, I want this done, but let them do it in their way. And for me it worked in the end. It worked in my advantage because I didn't bother them too much. I told them what it needs to be done, and they got it done.
Yeah.
Whereas some leaders, they want it done their way.
Yep.
So, it was like my parents, it's like, no, you got to do it like this and like that, and that's it. But, so me, I think from what my parents' upbringing and my, my experience through school and everything, I'm like, you know what, I'm going to be a bit more open, and I'll let these guys do what they got to do. Let them perform their skills. And that's how I got people to. I became more of a people person. I like to connect with people instead of just going, okay, just do this and do that. I like to connect with people, see what they're about, their background, their history. I guess they feel more important, right? When their boss or their leader or is actually ask them about those topics or those things.
Yeah, they feel like they're being respected.
Exactly,
not just a number.
Exactly. So that's so a few years I was a lead hand. Then I became a supervisor. So this is a different role, because now you're a supervisor. You have to lead the leads who are leading the teams of skilled hand skilled operators. So now this is a complete dynamic because the lead hands have their way of leading. Now I'm trying to teach them how to lead. Of course, again, this is where I learned that not everybody has to lead how I led. Because for a moment I was struggling. I was trying to get them to lead how I was a lead hand. It's kind of like I was becoming like a parent.
Well, you are essentially.
And then within that 1 year I started to learn, okay, there's some things should stay as is with that person. If that's how they lead and it works, let it be. But just teach them the certain things that are no good, just coach them. But don't try to change their natural way. Right? Because they have a natural way, is because of their upbringing. Right? So, and honestly, I think that is the key. That is why I found success as a supervisor now. I'm not afraid of it anymore, because before I was afraid, because now you're leading people. You had to make sure they're here on time. You had to question them why they're not on time, or why they say certain things. Disciplinary actions, and also congratulating them too. Right? It's not just you have to tell them good job, good work. You have to compliment those people, right? So I think for my age, it's an interesting position. At 30, I think at 31, I got that job. Most of the people are older than me,
Congratulations, man.
So it's interesting. It's good. I think definitely my upbringing brought me to that.
You're a smart dude.
Thanks, man.
Like not like the way I like what you said that, you can't make them do what you want to do the way you want them to do it.
Exactly.
They have their own ways.
Yeah.
As long it gets done.
Exactly. And it's like, I read somewhere, why are you hiring someone and then changing them? You're hiring them because they, for their skills or what they can bring to the table, right? It's like we hire them and then we try to change them.
That's beautiful, man. That's awesome. Yes. So I think we're getting there. Do you have any last remarks or parting message for the listeners?
You know what? Honestly, everybody has a different upbringing, especially from an immigrant point of view, or an immigrant, when you were born in an immigrant family. I had it easy. I mean, not super easy, but it wasn't the worst. There's worse situations. There's, where there's people grew up in a family that's super strict. You couldn't do, it's like they didn't have a choice. Me, I had a choice because I fought for my choice. I became rebellious, and eventually my parents realized, okay, that's the way he's gonna be. So to the listeners out there, it's okay to, sometimes you got to be proud of where you came from, and not to have regrets also. It's like, 'cause sometimes some people are like, oh, I wish I did this, I wish I did that, but sometimes you have to go through that to be who you are now.
That's right.
That's what I would say. Be proud of where you came from.
Wise words from a wise man. Again, Arun, thank you for doing the podcast. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks a lot. Thank you for inviting me. To be honest, I was I wasn't sure. I'm like, oh, what am I going to talk about? I was like, you sure, Aaron? You want me? I'm going to be boring,
That's not true. No one is boring.
Exactly. And then, when you told me, I'm like, what, let me think about it. I was like, okay, sure, let's do it. And I was thinking, I'm like, okay, what am I going to talk about? Then I'm like, oh, you know what? My life there is a story.
Yeah, exactly.
There is something, and you know what? Let me do it. Let's do it.
I'm happy. I'm glad, and I'm grateful that you do it. Again, thank you again, and have a good evening.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Cheers.
Again, Aaron, thank you for coming on the podcast. I really do appreciate it. Thank you, listeners, for listening. This is Aaron Deliosa for An Immigrant's Life. I'll see you guys later.